What's good, folks? Family, friends, loved ones, enemies, frenemies, wizards, witches, muggles, mudbloods, people of Middle Earth to a special Thanksgiving Eve episode of Disguised Coverage, the only podcast in existence that gives you an equal amount of blueberries in each muffin. I am your host, Anthony Prohaska. Find me on Twitter at pro__ant. That's pro, 2_ANT. Give me a follow on the old TikTok as well. Same exact handle, pro, 2_ANT. In tonight's episode of Disguised Coverage, we're going to dive into the Buffalo Bills versus the Detroit Lions, a game that takes place in the early window for Thanksgiving, rounding out the trifecta for the Buffalo Bills over these last several years in terms of Thanksgiving action. They had the primetime game last year against New Orleans. They had the 4 o'clock slot a couple years ago against Dallas, and now they get the early slot against the Detroit Lions. So the Bills getting some primetime Thanksgiving action as of late. And that'll continue tomorrow as they take on the Detroit Lions. And with that being said, in tonight's episode, I will be joined shortly by Mr. Russell Brown, knower of all things college football and also knower of all things Detroit Lions, as he covers that team, regularly works in Detroit radio and writing and anything and everything that has to do with the Detroit Lions. So Russ is going to come on in a bit. We're going to dive into some of This is an awesome comment from Roy. I appreciate you, Roy. Roy says, don't eat the tree for Thanksgiving. I wouldn't dream about it. Although it is delicious and spectacular, I think it looks delicious. I haven't actually tried tasting it. That would be weird. But I would never eat anything so beautiful. That's a work of art. And you don't eat art. You admire it from afar and gaze at it longfully. But good comment there, Roy. I appreciate you. In tonight's episode with Russ, we're going to dive into tendencies, scheme, structure, X's and O's, as we do here on Disguised Coverage of this matchup. And then we're also going to tie that in with some game film, a feature that we added into last week's episode of Disguised Coverage and that I enjoyed and got a lot of positive feedback from the viewers and the fans and subscribers of this show. So we're going to continue rolling with some game film in this episode. We're going to look into some Lions film on offense and defense, some Bills film on offense and defense to really put together the visual piece of what we're talking about in terms of the in-depth analysis and breakdowns that we're going to be having for the Buffalo Bills and Detroit Lions, because this is a game that I think, again, you see the spread. I think it's around 9.5 now for the Buffalo Bills, and it makes sense given who the Lions are. The Lions come into this game 4-6. They've got some limitations. They've got several injuries on both sides of the ball, important ones, similar to what the Buffalo Bills have been dealing with these past couple of weeks. But the Lions are in a very similar boat when it comes to the injury bug hitting them in terms of quantity, but more importantly, quality across their roster. We're going to dive into that with Russ as well and talk about what that means for this game, this matchup, how it affects things. Oh, really nice comment from Amy. Amy saying, go Bills. Pleasure to see you this evening, Aunt. Happy Thanksgiving to you, the wifey, and your family and loved ones. Let's go Buffalo. Oh, thank you very much, Amy. Happy Thanksgiving to you and yours as well. Hope you guys are all doing well and staying safe, and hope you have some fantastic turkey and other whatever you do for Thanksgiving, mashed potatoes, mac and cheese, sweet potato casserole. Some people get down differently. Whatever you do, I hope you enjoy. Thank you for the kind words, and thank you for being here. I appreciate you. So once Russ joins in and gives me the go-ahead, I'm going to bring him up as he sits in the green room now and finally joins in. Oh, and look at that. He heard me. He heard my words. He also sent me a message into the private chat with a little peek behind the curtain. I bring it to you folks, Mr.
What is up?
Oh, you sound staticky.
Oh no.
You sound like a bad auto-tune.
Hold on, everybody settle down.
You sound like a bad auto-tune. I'm going to mute you for now. Now nobody can hear you, which sounds terrifying. Try and monkey with it. But once Russ fixes his mic situation, we're going to dive into this matchup because it's a fun one. We've got some pieces on this Detroit Lions team that maybe Bills fans don't put
Okay.
out. Still stat.
Oh man.
Sounds bad.
I don't know what to do.
I'm going to drop you back down. We're troubleshooting for Russ, but things will be okay. Yeah, as Roy says, bad horror movie voice, and Pete comes in and says Cyborg Russ. Yeah, a little bit of like, I was gonna say RoboCop, but I've never seen RoboCop, so I feel like I shouldn't make that comment. But once again, as Russ figures out his mic situation, this is the game and a matchup that I'm excited to break down. I'm excited to dive into and have Russ be the person to have this conversation with me because of how much he knows about the Lions and how much time he spends watching them and breaking them down from a film perspective and really diving into who and what they are. This is I don't want to use what I'm about to say as kind of like corny to the proverbial pieces because of who the Lions head coach is with Dan Campbell. But this is the team that is physical. They are violent. They scrap. They run the ball. They try and stop the run. Russ, how you sound now?
Is this better?
Nope, it's the same.
What is going on?
Drop you down again. Rough for Russ. Man, intense. Oof. This is the team that, again, I think teams in general take on the personality of their head coach. We saw it firsthand for the Buffalo Bills for those years under Rex Ryan, if we just want to compare the most recent regimes for the Buffalo Bills, right? Rex Ryan, a brash, intense coach. Russ, you want to try it?
I'm trying the computer now.
That's good.
Good?
Good.
I don't know. Maybe I had something mixed up. I have no idea. My fault, folks.
Intense. No, you're good.
I'm in a new house. I don't have my podcast equipment.
Don't make excuses. Don't blame
I'm
the
going to
house,
make these excuses,
Russ.
because the Lions, the same thing's happening next week, baby, or this week when the Lions lose tomorrow. Same thing.
Oh, man.
But I'll do the money line bet right now. Lions money line. I'll do it.
No more betting. You have a problem. We've been over this. Too many bets. Too much, Russ. But nonetheless, appreciate you joining me. Fans of the network and show should know who you are by now. You've been on so much, and we do the Cover One Football Weekly show. Russ, as I was speaking about and starting to like lead into this game, teams take on the personality of their head coaches. We saw it firsthand with the Buffalo Bills under Rex Ryan. They started becoming more brash, more, I would say, obnoxious and aggressive, a little bit more uncontrolled, a lot of penalties, very undisciplined pregame, during game, all that kind of stuff. The Detroit Lions are very much in that mold, but in a positive way. I don't mean to say in the mold of Rex Ryan, but in terms of taking on the personality of their head coach, like the whole, biting kneecaps and big, strong dude who's double fisting, like dunking coffees in the morning, like fiery, aggressive, in your face. Despite the Lions being like in this rebuild and being a 4-6 team, they are, I don't even want to say scrappy bunch. They're physical. They're violent. They play the run. They like to run, or they like to run the ball themselves. Even I know Jeff Okuda's out tomorrow. One of the clips that I was going to show tonight against the Giants run a crack toss and Andrew Thomas is leading out on a full block, and Okuda comes up and doesn't just like take on Thomas like, oh, okay, he drops and puts a shoulder into him. Like everybody is just physical. They've taken on the personality of Dan Campbell on offense and defense, and it shows in how physical a brand of football that they play.
It really does. And it's weird because it was one of those teams. I mean, I think I did it on the Cover One Football Weekly show. Like, we would watch this team to start the year, and, they were a 1-win football team. They were 1-6. And it was like, where's this Dan Campbell that says so much great stuff? And I'm so pumped that the chat's pumped that I'm human and not a robot.
There's a lot of good moments. We got Dying Transformer. We got Autobot. We got Bad Horror Movie Voice. We got Cyborg Russ. Oh, sounds like an old school Star Wars character. There's a lot of good ones in the chat.
I don't know what happened. I don't know. That was weird. But it was just weird. It's just weird. Like, they were a 1-6 football team, and they have not looked the same team since then. I mean, they look way more improved, but when you start the year, you were like, where's this guy that's preaching all this stuff? They come out flat in the second half. Yeah. They put up points. The defense terrible. And that's what's frustrating for me as a Lions fan is like offense was scoring. The offense is ranked second in the league, I think, in points per game.
They're certainly. And from a DVOA perspective, I feel like people don't really notice they're 10th overall in offensive DVOA, 13th for the pass and 7th for the run. Like, this is a good offense.
Yeah, no, they're very good. And like, that's the thing. Like, Jared Goff is somebody that he operates very efficiently. Like, a lot of people will dog him, but the way his statistics are matching up right now, he's a top 20 top 10 quarterback in the NFL right now. Like, in passing yards, passing touchdowns, he's up there. He's pretty efficient with the football. When you look at like their overall yards per game, they're 6th best in the NFL. They're literally 0.2 yards lower than the Cincinnati Bengals. So you're talking about a team that was just in the Super Bowl with Joe Burrow, 0.2 yards. Like,
that's wild.
And I'm not a big box score stat guy. Like, at the end of the day, the win and loss matters, and what I see on tape and what you see on tape, that stuff is what matters. But like, when I when I look at these numbers offensively, it hasn't been the problem. But over the last couple of weeks, they've made some changes defensively. I know we're going to jump into it on the film from both sides of the football here for the Lions and the Bills, and I'm excited to do that. And I'm excited to see a lot of the improvements that I've been seeing the last 2-3 weeks. And I know it's against the Packers that are dead in the water, and the Bears who are the Bears, and a Giants football team that might be fraudulent. But I mean, we've covered the Giants a lot this year.
Yes.
On the Football Weekly show, and like we didn't think they were that fraudulent. They were winning good football teams. They were beating good football teams. They were winning good games. Like
that's a good win for the Lions. That's a quality win. The Giants aren't the best team in the league, but that's a quality win for the Detroit Lions. And honestly too, even if we're harkening back, they easily could have beat the Miami Dolphins in their own house. Like if they just played any kind of defense in that game, like they easily win that.
The one that bothers me is the Minnesota game.
Yeah,
they were up 14. They collapsed. The second half was terrible, and you saw what happened in Minnesota to Dallas this week. I mean, it waxed. You talk about frauds, though. That might be a fraud right there. Like there's some talent there. Jefferson, Dalvin Cook,
for sure.
Some players are
but
there.
They're not a they were 8-1 coming into the week, but they're not really an 8-1 football team. They're a tier below like several teams that have more losses than them.
Yeah, no. And to this comment, I'm not drinking anything tonight. I'm actually, when I wrap this up, I'm gonna go work out and I'm gonna shower and probably grind some tape. So no drinking. I'm just going 100 miles an hour as I settle in here because I just got done with radio. I was trying to get over here. I'm just all over the place. So I'm trying to slow it down a little bit, but yes, hit that like button.
Oh yes. Yeah, let's get in there too. Now, likes are the lifeblood of these streams. So if you're enjoying this content live or later, please, and thank you sincerely, drop a like on this video. You would be surprised how long of a way it goes. Russ, keep crushing it as you start to settle in here from the hectic day that you've had.
Yeah, I'm working on it. We'll see. I mean, I'm excited about tomorrow. The Lions, just a different team, man. They're a completely different team. And I think if they go up in this game, and I'm just kind of giving thoughts as we get ready to throw up film and everything else. Yeah. I think if they go up at all in this game, up 10, up 14, I feel like they will be able to control it enough. Okay. I think they've learned because Dan Campbell's not getting as risky. And I know maybe some people haven't been paying attention, but he's not like, against the Giants, the first drive of the game for them, he could have went for it on 4th and 2 from the 6.
Kick the field goal.
Points. On the road, you take the points. At home, there's going to be 60,000 people down there. It's going to be crazy at Ford Field, the largest crowd they've had in quite some time. Yeah. But I'm going to be honest, like if they go up, he's learning how to play it safe. He's learning how to
he manages the game better. He knows when to go for it or when to dial it down. He's becoming more of like I don't want to mean this disparagingly, but like an actual football coach. Like he's dialing into the actual coaching and game management piece.
Yeah, like prior to the last couple of weeks, he was like that high school coach that would put his balls on the table and tell his guys and rally up his 16, 17-year-old kids and say, hey, we're running through this wall. Nobody's going to stop us. And in high school, that worked. But now he's like graduated and understands like it's grown-ass men that you're playing against now. So he's starting to understand it a little bit.
In terms of this matchup tomorrow and, talking about some of the changes, the Buffalo Bills have been just hit with injuries over and over. And we know Tremaine Evans is out for tomorrow. Gregory Rousseau is out tomorrow. Mitch Morse is questionable. We'll see some other injuries that start to come to fruition as we get closer to the game time. But the Lions have been hit with several as well. I already mentioned Jeff Okudah, who is out tomorrow. And they've also got some injuries on the offensive line, which is frustrating as a football fan because when healthy, this offensive line is arguably I would say it's easily a top 5 offensive line. It's arguably the best offensive line in football when completely healthy, in my opinion. But they're out with both of their starting guards for tomorrow. Jonah Jackson is out. Evan Brown is out. You still got Taylor Decker, Frank Ragnow, and Penei Sewell, who all 3 of those guys are absolutely phenomenal at their jobs. What do you expect to see from the Lions offensive line coming into this game and how no one's ever secure in their depth on the offensive line usually, but what is this line going to look like from the backup perspective, and how do you feel about the line going into this game?
Yeah, I mean, the Evan Brown one is the one that really kind of bothers me in a sense.
Okay.
He's been pretty decent backup center. He can play a little bit of guard. Jonah Jackson being out, that one hurts because some of these plays that we're going to break down, you're going to see him pull. He's going to hit the second level very well. He's going to clear out whether it's defensive tackles or defensive ends playing as a 5 technique from the Giants or just a linebacker. You're not going to have that now. And you're not going to have that guy that kind of understands the playbook really on the back of his hand and understands his landmarks and the speed and everything that he has to do as that guard. Now you're bringing in somebody else who is going to have to play against a very good defensive unit, whether there's guys out or not. You still have to respect the opposition. And when you have a second or third string guy, it's tough to do that. And with Evan Brown not being able to go, he had a lot of experience last year because he filled in for Frank Ragnow. Ragnow's obviously hobbling around now, and he's been battling through that. So we'll see if Frank makes it through the whole game. But if he goes down, I honestly don't even know who's going to play center for this team. But I kind of expect with this more of like heavy packages, multiple tight ends in there. The fullback, Jason Cabana, I think I'm saying his name right. He's going to be in there a lot more. And
he's so fun to watch.
Yeah, he's from where he was as a linebacker coming out of Penn State to now, he has gotten progressively better year in and year out. So I think we're going to just see a lot more heavy packages. We're going to see tight ends, that extra man on the line of scrimmage. I'd probably get familiar with the name Matt Nelson, kind of that swing tackle. Not a great guy, heavier, taller dude, stuff like that. We'll kind of see how that goes. But other than that, I don't know what kind of, packages are going to put in there as far as who's the backup's going to be, because I'm not at practice. I'm not seeing, everything that they have. And they kind of roll with the punches. I mean, they were expecting things from like Stenberg and Kramer. Those guys haven't been healthy. Big V, they want it. He hasn't been healthy. Dan Skipper filled in a little bit, but he's hit or miss. So we'll see. But it's a battle of the trenches. Going to be some backups in there. It's going to be fun.
You know what's funny? You mentioned the heavier personnel package. This was a piece. So I watched 3 Lions games in total, including the Giants game this past year, or this past week, I should say. And I noticed some tweaks on offense and defense. But since we're talking about personnel packages, I just kept seeing so many 2 running back sets and 2 tight end sets. And so I looked at the numbers and checked some percentages. 70% of the Lions offensive snaps versus the Giants this past week came with either 2 running backs or 2 tight ends on the field. They only had 35% of their snaps against the Giants in 11 personnel for that individual game against the Giants. On the year, their 11 personnel percentage is 65%. So they had a 30 percentage point drop, which is absolutely huge. And seeing them turn that dial up along with more pre-snap motion, 5% more pre-snap motion versus the Giants than they had on the year, 57% versus 52. But the play action game was huge against the Giants as well. Again, a game against an aggressive, good defense that the Lions beat up and took care of. On the year, the Lions are 19th in play action percentage at 16% versus the Giants. They had a 24% play action usage rate, and they just used it and spammed it over and over again. We're going to show some clips in a little bit of Jared Goff finding, and again, when you have an efficient guy like Jared Goff, who's very comfortable in that play action world, going back to his time with the Rams, that just meshes up. And so I'm very interested to see. The Lions had a really good rhythm offensively against the Giants. Granted, they got some takeaways and they got some explosive plays from the defense, but they look comfortable in the run and in the pass. They look comfortable in the play action game. They had a lot of design rollouts for Jared Goff and making everything look the same. Like they're making this zone run, and when it's a zone run, it looks like a zone run. And then when they run play action, it still looks like the zone run. Goff is selling it beautifully. The line sells it. The backs sell it. I'm wondering how much they continue to lean into that this week, especially against a Bills defense, traditionally too high looks, 69% too high shell. So that pre-snap too high look on the year, which is 5th most in the league. We know their propensity for light boxes or 7-man boxes. I wonder how much they stay with that heavier personnel flow and run game piece as well. 43% gap runs on the year. That's the 5th most in the league. The Bills have struggled against gap runs. We thought the Browns would use more gap runs. Browns 46% gap runs on the year. We thought they'd lean into that more. They didn't. They stuck with more zone, and that actually was a benefit to the Bills. I'm very interested in that matchup because the Lions can run the ball. Granted, they're going to be without 2 of their guards who are functional, but this is the 7th ranked rushing attack in terms of DVOA, and you see what they're able to do on the ground. they can run the ball, and with their propensity to run gap scheme in terms of percentage and in terms of execution within that percentage, and the Bills' identity on defense, I'm wondering how much they turn up those heavier personnel packages, turn up the gap runs, and really kind of play more of a smash mouth game and run right at the Buffalo Bills, who also maybe without AJ Epinesa tomorrow on the edge. So they have multiple guys banged up on the D line. Tremaine Edmonds out. I'm wondering how much the Lions really lean into that piece and really attack them, and try to run it down their throat.
Yeah, no, and I think you bring up some really good points there. And, you mentioned the play action to kind of get the rhythm going. Russ, if the Lions don't win this game, I'm blaming you, unfollowing you on Twitter and placing a hex on you. Well, that's probably going to happen. So I should just prepare for that now, just like I prepared my turkey. So we can go ahead. We can go ahead and do that because I'm bad luck. I'm telling you, I'm getting back on the wagon here. And I promise you, it's going to fall apart. I'm going to be heartbroken. It's what's going to happen. I think you're on mute. It's the worst. It's the worst.
What are we doing? It's just
we need a mic check guy. That's what we need.
I do. We just need like a pure producer behind the scenes. He's not on camera and he's just working everything, pulling all the puppet strings. Whew. Oh man. But yeah, so let's dial it back to that run piece for the Lions.
Yeah, no, and I'm looking forward to it. And you mentioned, them getting into the rhythm of the play action game, and it really helped settle in Jared Goff, and it really helped establish Jamal Williams even more. And he had 2 rushing touchdowns. I mean, he's up to 11 on the year. He's up to 12 on the year. He's closing in on Barry Sanders' single season record of 16 for the Lions.
If he, I just hope he. No, I would like him to break it. That's cool for him. But if the franchise
he'll tie it or something,
that would be wild. Yeah, he would. That'd be wild.
But I could see him realistically getting 17 or 18. I'm not
it's possible. Yeah,
it's very possible. I mean, it would be essentially a touchdown a game, but anything's possible with how much they run the football. And, a statistic for people to know, Jamal Williams has 114 more carries than DeAndre Swift this year. And I know Swift's been battling through injuries, but it's not a 50-50 split.
That's a perfect piece. I hate to interrupt you, but I want to get into that segue. I was going to mention it later, but I figured since you already mentioned it now, talk about this running back timeshare, because even against the Giants, they were working it, but it was Jamal Williams, Swift, and Justin Jackson. And Justin Jackson was getting more touches than Swift. Swift started out the year crushing it, had a great week against the Eagles, got banged up a bit. Williams took over, but now Swift is back. Talk about this running back timeshare. What's going on in the backfield? Why is Williams kind of leading the pack, and what's going on?
Yeah, I mean, Williams is leading the way because he's just a much more simpler runner. He is very good at running, between the tackles, north and south. There's no reading this comment here.
Yeah, that was a good one from Cliff.
With Jamal, he's very simple, straight to the point. He's not dancing around. He's not doing anything that DeAndre does. And DeAndre's very explosive, and it works when it works, but there's a lot of the times that it doesn't work. And it was one of the things that scared me most about him coming out of college, was that he tried to do a little bit too much. I always felt in my gut, there's going to be one injury to this dude and it's just not going to pan out. And here we are. And Jamal was one of those. You saw the physical bruising style of him coming out of BYU, and it's showing here. It's in a perfect spot. And the crazy thing with Justin Jackson is, since the Green Bay game, he has played 13 snaps, 17 snaps, and 25 snaps, and he got his most work this past week.
Couple good runs this past week too. Showed some versatility, some speed, some burst, some contact balance.
Yeah, and with DeAndre Swift, Green Bay, it was 10, 19, and then 21. So they're easing him back into a role, but he's never really been ready to go in that role. And I even talked to Derek Brown of Fantasy Pros in the summer. He was asking me about, Swift and the offense. And I said, dude, I think he's hurt. I thought he was hurt back in August. I'm not even going to lie.
Okay.
And I have receipts, I have receipts, but he is just not healthy. And that's the thing. Jamal, he's been healthy. You're going to give it to him 15, 20 times a game. You know what you're getting out of him, 3-4 yards a pop. And that keeps the offense going. And as we mentioned, rhythm with the Giants. same type of deal. This allows you to establish that rhythm, and that's what they're going to look to do here against the Buffalo Bills, who have some injuries up front. And obviously, you have to, like we mentioned earlier, you got to honor certain guys. But Jamal's he's gonna get his own tomorrow, and we'll see if he has any long runs. If they get down in the red zone, how much they use him, and that's really where you need to keep an eye on him, because that's where he gets utilized the most, is in the red zone. And when they get inside the 5, just get ready to go mano a mano, and you better pray for the best, because Dan Campbell's taking an kneecap with him.
He's so good at finding the goal line in the end zone, even when it looks like, oh, well, he's going to get stopped for a loss, and he just somehow slithers or powers his way into the end zone. And I love that point about the running styles and the difference between him and Swift, because it ties back into the Jared Goff piece, right? With Jared Goff, you need to stay on schedule. You need to stay ahead of the chains. You need to be able to keep that offense in rhythm. Jamal Williams is that guy. He's going to just he'll get you 4, he'll get you 3, but he's not going to lose you 6. He's not going to lose you 4. He's not going to do something that's out of the box and cause you to get off schedule or get off plan or get off script. So even though he's the better athlete, he's the more dynamic running back, he's got more burst and speed and home run ability, because he has that variance. Right now, Jamal Williams is the better choice for this offense, because it keeps the whole offense on schedule, which in turn helps Jared Goff be able to function, because at this point, we know what Jared Goff is. He's not this quarterback that is going to completely win a game and take everything over. He's efficient. He can function, but he needs to stay on schedule. He needs that rhythm. And Jamal Williams is that guy for that piece. And yeah, very, very, very interesting thoughts there from you, because it's something I've noticed more and more, even when watching the game tape back for the Giants. I saw the first couple drives and I was like, oh, Swift. I guess I was like, I thought Swift played, but I guess he's out. And then I finally saw Swift and I was like, oh, no, he's there. And then I was like, oh, there he is again. And I was like, no, that's Justin Jackson. And I was like, there's Swift. And I was like, no, that's Justin Jackson again. And it was just how that rhythm works and how that routine works. It's a very interesting piece for this Buffalo Bills team, for this Detroit Lions team. Oh, Amy comes in and says, Mitch will suck it up and play. My hopes, we will score much, much more against the Lions. Go Bills. Cook will cook plus motor. Wow, very positive. We got this W, respectively, in our dome away from home. That's very funny. Yeah. Oh, and then Sarah with the question underneath, did Mitch Moore's practice at all today? Oh, let me go and confirm. I know he's officially questionable for the game. I don't remember if he practiced today. He did not practice today. He didn't practice today, yesterday, or Monday. Officially listed as questionable for the game. He got hurt apparently early in the game against the Browns. Like I believe the first play or the first series, played the entire rest of the game, but officially listed as questionable. I was saying P comes in right. So yeah, Morse was DNP all week, which DNP does not mean don't worry, no problems. It means did not practice. So
heavily worry, you have problems. That's what that means.
That's exactly what it means. Yeah, look out. It's upsetting. Everybody get worried. Russ, should we look at some film?
Oh, of course, baby. Let's break this down.
Let's do some film. So let's start. We were talking about the Lions offense. Let's stay with the Lions offense. So as I share my screen here, as I click the tab, boom, there we go. Everybody can see it. Fantastic. Okay, cool. There we go. All right, so first play. This was one that I had tabbed. It's funny when you sent me your list of a couple of the things you had tabbed. They were, like I said, 2 of the 3 I had tabbed up as well. This first one is very simple. Just play action, pre-snap motion. 2 pieces that, again, the Lions leaned into more against the Giants than they have for their season average. But because they make it look like everything, like their play action game, I'm surprised they don't. I mean, I would like the Bills to use it more as well, but I'm surprised the Lions don't use it more, because the way they executed in this game, they were running their play action off of the exact same look as their runs. And it was just fooling. Granted, the Giants defense is aggressive. They play a lot of man coverage, but you see the openings it creates for Jared Goff. And so this isn't anything crazy. I also love how much they motion this fullback Campbell over and over again, whether he'd be in a regular I formation, they'd motion him to a weak eye or a strong eye. They'll bring him in motion, hipped off the tight end and across in a jet motion surge type of action. But
yeah, they'll even motion like into more of like a condensed set. Like, let's just say you've got like twins right, like a traditional, they'll kind of bunch it and then they'll motion him in the backfield. And it almost becomes like, split zone in a sense, because you've got kind of a tight end that's more so like an H-back, and they do like split zone away from that motion into the condensed. Like they just do so much different stuff. Ben Johnson's done a phenomenal job with this offense. And as we continue to talk just the offensive side and play action, like I would love to see, some type of like Kevin Stefanski type like something implemented from Kevin Stefanski's offense of packages from play action into this offense, because he used it heavily in Minnesota with Kirk Cousins. I haven't checked with Jacoby Brissett. I'm assuming with Nick Chubb, Jacoby Brissett, probably heavy play action. I think you can take a lot from certain play callers, whether it's a head coach or just an OC in the NFL, and especially with play action. I think Kevin Stefanski is one of the better ones in the league. But Ben Johnson's kind of doing it in his own right too.
Yeah, very fair. And again, it's nice when you've got quarterbacks who are limited to a degree. Pre-snap motion and play action is their best friend. And then if they're a little bit athletic, you can get them on some design rollouts, move the pocket. It just adds. It's a way to kind of negate some of their limitations within themselves by creating, more intricacy within the offense as a whole, and just kind of stressing and taxing the defense a little bit.
Yeah,
so nothing wild on this one. Minute comes in motion. This is what I love. Again, it's so simple, but the sell from Goff, it's just, you're thinking this is a run, and the linebackers bite hard. They all honor that piece. They step right up. They recognize the run. Okay, here it comes.
Well, and I would really like to know if, like, pre-snap, did he audible out of this and he saw that single high cover one look there where you have the deep safety damn near at the goal line, 25 yards off the football. Did you end up just audibling out of this and just saying, hey, we're going to run play action, and they know they're going to run that crosser, and boom, they go?
It could be. I'm trying to get, let's see. Let's run the play before. This is the play before. QB sneak, super mobile Jared Goff, physical menace Jared Goff.
He did have a good run in this game.
That he did. He had a couple nice. You know what, Brissett is more mobile, but Brissett last week in preparation for that game, highest EPA per attempt on runs. Granted, scrambles lean towards that, but of everybody in the entire NFL, the highest EPA attempt per rush for Jacoby Brissett. So they dealt with it a little last week. It looks like out of this, so I went. Granted, maybe the all-22 didn't catch it initially, but it doesn't. This looks like there was the play from the jump. No alert, no check. Giants are just in that single high look, and they get caught. The play action sucks in that second level, and Goff barely has to work for this one. He comes right out of the run action, tucks it. Cool, let me dump it down. And actually, even if he wanted to get a little sexier on it, he's got the underneath to the tight end. He's also got the second level option as well. Like, there's just receivers running open because the design and execution for Jared Goff and this Lions offense on this play, and a nice catch and run gets them down the field. This is an aspect that I think they lean into this exact piece, like this literal formation. You got 21 personnel, heavier package, try and make the Bills honor that piece, and then you hit them with the play action. I love how the line shifts and you see that entire linebacker core.
Yeah, and you're rolling away from the motion. I mean, you see that. You see a motion to one side, the quarterback open to that motion, pre-snap. You instantly think run. If you're a linebacker, if you're Wink Martindale, who's been around for a long time, he's going to preach that to his guys. Get ready for the run. Get ready for the run. You got guys like Jalen Smith in there going slow till you know, and that's his mindset as a linebacker. And it's, and Jared Goff makes a really good throw here. He takes the easy throw.
Yes.
He throws off, kind of off platform a little bit. Didn't take a shot over the middle of the field, just right underneath. Perfect.
Right in stride. Boom. There you go.
Yep.
Yeah.
Saw the mismatch of his tight end against, this linebacker that he knew, would probably beat him to at least the sticks. And that's the other thing. This offense isn't designed to, do a kind of a Kansas City Chiefs or even a Buffalo Bills. They're not going to score on you in 58 seconds and then 3 plays. Like, it's just not going to happen. Like, they're built to go 7, 8, 10 plays, eat up 5, 6,
and in rhythm. Efficient and in rhythm.
And that's why I'm really curious. I wish he was coming back this week. I know he's not, but Jameson Williams, when he comes back, is that when the tops come off? And is that when we're getting a little fancy? We're getting a little sexy. We're showing some skin here.
Dude, him and Amon-Ra St. Brown, man, what a cool pairing, right?
Like, I wish Hawkinson was still there.
I don't even want to talk about that trade. I'm still angry by it. No, because then you have a cool triplet of weapon. I don't know. And you have a strong offensive line, Hawk, Williams, Brown, with a potential quarterback waiting in the wings in the draft, but whatever. It's fine. Last time for this play, as Russ said, again, 41 just gets completely sucked into the play action. So does Smith as well, but the tight end is 41's responsibility, crosses his face. And that might happen to the Bills. I'm going to show a play later from the Bills defense from this past game against the Browns where they showed some of, this isn't a true like leak concept from the tight end, but they've shown some susceptibility when Tyrell Dodson has been in there to get beat by these drags from tight ends on play action or a traditional like more leak based concept where you're really exaggerating the rollout and then releasing late with that tight end. Now, this is one that you and I both had marked. This is that split zone counter piece in the red zone that I love. You had it in your notes too, like counter run with the notation by it because they feign the split zone and it almost comes out like a counter for the action that you get here from the lines. Again, motion, pre-snap motion again, which they continue to lead into. I love this run. And then the finish by Jamal Williams to get low and run through a man. What really gets me about this piece, so this is looking like split zone. He's going to come across and he's going to block and take his man here. But watch Williams' steps because they make it look like that split zone piece and it makes Smith commit. And all he does, he takes a slight step to that left and it opens him up for Taylor Decker to come and, I'm making some beautiful artwork here. And it allows Decker to come and just seal him once he gets to the second level. That's the piece that really gets me right here. So we get the motion. Watch Smith, number 54, that little step to the left. That's all he needs. Now Williams is cutting back to the right side. Decker climbs, gets him. But again, there's still two guys here. Like in theory, you're still fitting it pretty decently if you're the Giants, come up and make the tackle. But this is where that, not negatively, this is where that simplistic run style of Jamal Williams comes in. He just gets downhill and just goes through people.
Right. And see how he's getting north now. He's not, you see all this opening here. He doesn't get lateral. He doesn't bounce it out. Swift would have taken it right between 25 and that. Yep. He would have tried to take it right there. And he has the speed to probably do it, but there's a good chance that 25 would have fought back outside, made the tackle, the end would have came over and he would have been stopped at the 2. And then, whatever the down and distance was in this situation, you would have ended up having to either kick a field goal, go for it. It's just been an extra down, and you don't need to play that extra play when you got a guy that's going north and south and finishes the run with a little speed to power.
It's really a nice run. And again, because
really nice block too here.
I was gonna say this is the block is nice, but again, it stems from that design because when you're seeing that split zone look and that split zone run, so you see the polar coming across, not the polar, but the action man who's coming across, he's gonna hit here, and you're thinking, okay, so the run is going over here, your traditional like split zone type of look, and so 54 bites on it, but so does 53. He comes down like he's trying to take on the man as if Jamal Williams is going to keep going this way. But because he crashes down so hard, thinking it's a split zone run, he effectively takes himself out. And then you just get a good contact and a smash. That's a nice alley, a nice hole. And with how north and south Jamal Williams gets, and you know what I love too? This is like a simple piece, but I don't think it can be overstated. Watch when not only does he get north and south from like literally going like straight, but he squares his shoulder to the line of scrimmage to be able to have more force and power and run behind his pads. Look how he squares his shoulders. Like he's running north and south, but his body position is also north and south. He's running behind his shoulder pads. And when you're that big and that strong and converting that speed to power, and then you're also running with proper form, it's the reason you're able to just run through multiple players. Oh,
yeah, no, and you're watching him bring his center of gravity down just a little bit. He's covering up the football. He's getting ready to take on and embrace those hits and really run through them. And he realizes, hey, there's going to be 2, 3, maybe 4 guys that are going to try to stop me. But he's got that mentality, man, that he's going to do it. Like, that's just who he is. Like, he's got that dog mentality. You saw it in Hard Knocks. I've seen it during practices. That's who Jamal Williams is. He's a perfect fit for this offense, for this culture, and he's fun to watch.
Oh yeah, man, he's a really, really enjoyable watch. I went back to the comments real quick to grab this comment from Pete that says the Lions will be doing a lot to attack Dodson in the
Yes.
pass game. Yes, they will. I really think they will with their play action piece, and what
St.
they're going to
Brown
do with
across the
motion,
middle all day.
which we're going to show a play for that in a little bit. And again, after this, we're going to show some Bills defense film that but connects and ties into that piece. So excellent comment there from Pete. Now, here we go. 2nd and 2. So the Lions have been working the ground game for a majority of this game. They just ran it for 8 yards on 1st down. So you're sitting here in 2nd and 2, heavy personnel, offset I formation. Tendency, what are you thinking? Okay, they're probably going to run the ball again. That's false because they hit you with the play action and it's nothing crazy. It's just a 2-man route, one on each side. And it sucks in the whole second level and you got him on Ross St. Brown.
And watch that very subtle, before he even puts his hand under center, look at Jared Goff standing up there, reading everything, making sure nobody rotates down, nobody rotates back. He knows what's coming. He sees how wide open it is in the middle of that field around the 50 to 45.
He's scanning for everything. His head is up. He's checking everything.
Yep. And he does it so much, and he does it during run plays, he does it during passing plays, and it makes it look like, oh, this is going to be a run play. And it's that single high look. He knows he can hit this deep crosser with ASB right over the middle, and Brown runs a perfect route. That clearing route there on the left side is right up the numbers. It's perfect.
And this is something, again, like Pete's comment mentioned, like this is a play that puts your linebackers into conflict, especially a linebacking group like the Bills defense, where they are taught to read and honor that run action. So if you see that run action, it's 2 steps and you're coming forward. You're not just keeping your feet in the grass and not honoring it and playing pass first. They're playing run to pass. So if they're going to see this action, and again, it's not only the action, but it's the way the action is executed. Like, this is a good play action game. Like, Goff turns, he sells it. You even have, and it turns out to be for pass protection reasons, but you even get a bit of like counter action again from the fullback. Starts out to the left as Goff gets under center and takes it, and peels it back. And it's for pass protection purposes, but it all leans in to the run action if you're reading it.
Watch Kayvon off the right tackle there. He stops, backs up, like turns his back. Yeah, he just right and you got 6 guys up in the box for the Lions there on the line of scrimmage against 5. It's just like, it's man on man. They run a very simple type of offense. There's really no complex concepts or scheme to it. It's very simple, and it works for them. And Ben Johnson's doing a great job. Jared Goff's operating it very well. Jared Goff's doing enough to definitely earn another contract with Detroit. Definitely not like a $40 million contract, but enough to get
be a bridge guy
contract. Yes.
Yeah,
for another 2, maybe 3 years.
Especially
if they needed him to be.
Correct. Like, it depends on like whatever quarterback they get in the draft. If it is a more pro ready piece or someone they want to develop a little bit and lean into and not completely baptized by fire. And yeah, here's the end zone angle. Like, you just see the full commitment from this Giants front. They're all thinking it's run. And then, yeah, you highlighted Thibodeau. Like, he sees it and is like, oh crap. It just puts his foot in the ground and tries to bail. But because there's so many people committed to the run piece, there's so much space. And Amon-Ra St. Brown doesn't even do anything fancy with his route. He literally just runs to grass. Like, this isn't a super sexy route or some amazing job from him, even though he's a good receiver. Like, it's just like, oh, cool, let me go find the space. And then, like you said, so they're in cover 3. This corner goes with the clear out route on the sideline, and there is just space. And this, if you're looking at it from the Bills' perspective, again, so safety, linebacker. One of those linebackers is going to be Tyrell Dodson. Is he the man that comes up? Is he the man that's in coverage? I would prefer him to be neither, no disrespect, but you're going to get put into conflict against this Detroit Lions team in the run game, but also in the play action game. And they've got some pieces out there, mainly Amon-Ra St. Brown, and Khalif Raymond isn't anything spectacular, but he's got some speed, he's got some juice, and if you give him open space and open field, he can do things with it legitimately. So you don't want to you can't be sitting there and just giving true space over and over again.
even Tom Kennedy. I mean, he's not somebody that's super productive. I thought he was somebody that was going to make like the starting 53 right out of the gates. I thought he had a really good training camp from what I saw. He didn't end up doing it. He ended up becoming a practice squad guy, but he's somebody that could also run this crosser route. And it's one of those things, you mentioned a player that you don't want to see dropping back into coverage. I'm with you. If I'm a Bills fan, I wouldn't want that type of player that I'm really second guessing right now to drop back or to move up and play the run. I wouldn't want him in that spot, especially on a short week.
Yes, good point.
It's going to be tough for these linebackers, to really make it happen. But if the corners and safeties can, exchange on the routes here and they can do all that, it might work out. You might have a guy in the right spot right there if it works out, but who's to say you will? You just never know.
And that's the piece. And that's the conflict that you get put into.
Yeah.
Russ, this is one that you wanted for your boy, Jamal Williams. I'm not even going to fully introduce it. I'm going to let it play, kind of speak over it as we get some pre-snap motion from Mr. Amon-Ra St. Brown. And here's your boy just doing work, bouncing it to the outside, and look at your boy go. Oh, a nice little finish at the end.
Yeah, no, and I really liked just this drive in particular. They hadn't scored a touchdown yet. They're really getting going. Look at the left guard here, Jonah Jackson, very light on his hands, on his fingertips. It's a clear indication he's going to pull, and it's almost like a split zone here. You get a pre-snap motion into twins right or twins left if you're looking at it from this perspective. ASB goes in motion.
I always do that because I'll say like, oh, the left, and someone on Twitter will be like, oh, it's actually on the right side of the screen. I'm like, oh, I'm actually talking from the offense's perspective, but I never.
Yeah, I always talk it from the offensive perspective. And even though I'm a defensive guy, I always do it from the offensive perspective. But you'll watch the tight end here. He gives that split zone look, the counter, the pulling guard. That tells me split zone counter. I don't know what else I would name this. Maybe I'm wrong, but it's space is wide open out there on the outside for Jamal. He hits it. He doesn't hesitate. He doesn't stop in his tracks and looks for the opening. He sees it on the outside and he just goes. And he knows, hey, if I get 4 or 5 yards here, cool. He sees even more space and he speeds up and then he takes a little contact. He could have went out of bounds. And I will say, in this game, I don't know if there was like just personal bad blood between certain guys, but man, both teams were hitting each other in this game.
It was a
physical game. It was a physical game.
You know what's funny that you say that? Go ahead.
Oh, I was just say it was so physical that I believe the Giants are without 4 starting offensive linemen this week.
Yeah, I was just Lemieux is out, Neal is out. There's 2 others in it, but I don't remember the other 2. I think Gates.
I don't even think Andrew Thomas is playing. I think he's out.
It was, and see, that's a piece, right? Like you mentioned the bad blood thing. I actually wondered that myself, where I was like, you know what? No, like the Giants are a physical team. The Lions are a physical team. Maybe it was just 2 physical teams going after each other. But yeah, there was a lot of physicality here. I feel bad for. So 41 has to be able to force this and kick it back inside, and he does not. So you watch the action here, and he just gets sucked up. He takes too short of an angle, which again is decently understandable, but Puller picks up Thibodeau. He has got to force this back inside. And also, I think from his perspective, I don't think he sees the tight end. I don't think he's seeing, because he's got to look through Thibodeau and the puller to see the tight end. I don't think he's seeing that action. So he comes, which would explain why he's coming so tight onto the outside of Thibodeau, because he's thinking like, oh, okay, I'm just going to fit this right here and make the tackle, and boom, it's done. And that is not what happens for him. He comes up to make this play, and he gets caught. And then, like you said, Jamal Williams just bounces it. I played it in live real time. Just watch the helmet. I don't know if it's because the mouthpiece isn't in, and so it accentuates it, but just watch. Oh yeah, no, he felt every bit of that. Darnay Holmes felt every bit of that hit. And I don't remember if it was this game or another Giants game, but I'm fairly confident he left shortly after this. I don't know if I'm wrong on that. I could be mixing it up with another game, but I'm fairly confident he played like another snap and then was off to the sideline. Just absolutely rocked. Like that is that's a tough piece. And so we're talking about Lions offense. Now let's translate this into some Bills defense pieces as I start to pull up that film for us now. Hashtag segue as I load it up. Let's get the film rolling and
that's
share.
honestly the Lions offense. That's how it operates.
You know, what's funny is too that, like, honestly, like I had more plays. Obviously, we have like somewhat limited time to a degree, but I had more plays like queued up, and I was like, you know what? No, these are pretty symbolic of what their offense is, because you don't want to show like everything, but also what you want to show is, you know, we want to make sure what we're showing is representative of who a team is or what that side of the ball is. And that's what it is, that efficiency piece, the play action, the heavier personnel packages, tough running, tough physical blocking up front. Like, that's what you're going to see. This is another opportunity, especially from a Bills perspective. They had some issues with the Packers running game, some issues with the Jets game as well. The pre-snap motion that would pull defenders out of the box, and then they would get gashed with some gap runs. Minnesota stuck more to the zone piece, as did Cleveland. The couple gap runs that Cleveland ran, they had success. Chubb had 14 carries for 19 yards. 9 of those yards came on one carry from a gap run where the Bills got gouged. I'm looking to see the Lions go heavier personnel coupled with play action, but I'm looking to see them go heavier personnel, pre-snap motion, a lot of eye candy, trying to force the Bills defenders to bump and shift and push and then attack them with those gap runs with that physicality. And because that's when the Bills have been beat. This play is a play we broke down in the Cover One film room last night. This is just a zone run from the Cleveland Browns. And a lot of times what the Buffalo Bills do, because they are usually fitting the run with a light box or at most like a 7-man box, you'll get a lot of run stunts. You'll get a lot of slants. You'll get a lot of different movement up front. This isn't holistically in that on this play, but you can see the Bills' ability, because they are a one-gap penetrating front. That's why they're better defending zone than they are gap. Oftentimes when they're facing gap run styles and run schemes, and this is just basic nature of who they are, because they're so aggressive in getting upfield and getting penetration, they're either going to get like a tackle for a loss, and it'll be like 2nd and 11 or 12, or it's going to be like 2nd and 4 or 2nd and 3 because they're going to get gashed because they got upfield so fast. But what you see on this one's really beautiful from the Bills defense. Outside zone run, look how much penetration Daquan Jones, number 92, how much penetration he gets. He cuts off the entire front side of this run. This run is done. There's nowhere to go. And then Ed Oliver's working backside against Conklin, eats him. And
Von
Miller
pressure with pressure.
Yep. Go ahead.
That's Ed Oliver. I'm sorry, I didn't mean to cut you off.
No, go ahead, do your thing.
I get so fired up about it, and especially when it's Ed Oliver, because that was my boy coming out. And I'm fired up because there's a comment in here from Anthony Armstrong talking about these kids acting like we don't know what we're talking about. Get me all fired up on your show.
These kids act like they're smarter than NFL head coaches. Listen to is that supposed to be rhetoric? That if you tried to say rhetoric, that is not how you spell rhetoric. So feel free to do you, but rhetoric is spelled differently. It's got an H in it, but you do you, dog. Don't worry about that guy. But feel very fun from Daquan Jones. Cuts off the entire front side of this run, this outside zone run. Chubb has no option. He literally has to stick his foot in the ground. And if you go from the sideline angle shows it even more. Little pre-snap motion. Daquan Jones, look at the upfield penetration. Just reestablishes that line of scrimmage, and Chubb has to cut it back, and he has to cut it back right into Ed Oliver and into Von Miller. Team defense piece, but again, they're built and set up to stop that zone type of run. They can get gashed and gouged when it comes to the gap scheme piece because, again, if we're just using this zone piece, if it's a gap scheme run and you're getting this much penetration, you're getting this far upfield, there's a chance you're going to make a tackle in the backfield. But what happens if you get trapped? What happens if you just created yourself to get sealed, or you took yourself out of the play and now you got somebody leading up into where you were, and now there's a wall that's created, and the next thing you know, your safety on the back end has to come up and make a play. That's where the Bills have gotten in trouble at times.
Yeah, no, and that's what I was going to get to, even when you show it on the sideline angle of just how, look, even if you play it like just live, how beautiful it looks looking at all these guys getting basically to heels depth or just playing at the line of scrimmage and preparing for any potential cutback. They understand that whether you're fighting pressure with pressure, you're just in good position to make a play on the football. And as we know, 2 to 3 seconds, plays start to break down. Blocks aren't sustained anymore. Guys turn around, look to see where the running back's going. And very nice, Pete. And And that's what the Bills are doing here. They're playing it at the line of scrimmage, doing their thing, and it's perfect. So great play. And as a fantasy owner, to loving these, bash him, get his ass, do it.
I appreciate the support from all the chat coming through. Thank you very much, folks. Very nice, very kind.
Guy.
So we showed a strong run play from the Bills defense. Honestly, they did well. Again, 14 carries, 19 yards for Nick Chubb, a player who's, I would say he's in conversation for Offensive Player of the Year at this point. He's arguably the best running back in football. He's had a tremendous year. The Bills played very well against a stout, quality offensive line in the Cleveland Browns and a very good running back in Nick Chubb and Kareem Hunt as well. But some of the pieces where they were a bit vulnerable, as I'm going to scroll to and show now, are some pieces where they can be victimized a bit in the pass game. So what have we talked about earlier? We talked about, and we're showing that Lions footage, the play action, heavier personnel package. The very first play we showed from the Lions tape against the Giants was that play action, the tight end coming across on that drag route, kind of leaking out a little bit. This one is a legitimate leak from David Njoku. You're going to watch what the Browns do on this play and keep an eye on Mr. Tyrell Dodson here. And this is the play. This is a hard ask to a degree for a linebacker, and I'm not trying to do it to, big up Tremaine Edmonds, but Tremaine Edmonds has made this play positively earlier in the year because of his ability to process and his athleticism and so on and so forth. But nonetheless, it's a bit of a harder play. But we watch here. You're going to watch, again, more pre-snap motion. And as the Browns come through and run this play, you are going to see Jacoby Brissett start to kind of make this rollout piece a little bit. So you get the pulling action here. You get the run kind of feign action here, and you're going to watch Jacoby Brissett pull out and roll out. And as he does that, watch Tyrell Dodson and then watch Mr. David Njoku. Dodson takes the bait. He sees this flash of color, which, to be fair, linebackers are taught to do. Russ, you know this. You coach. Like, you're trying to read guard, center, guard. If you see that flash of color, usually you're reading that pull, you're going with that action. When we look at it from the end zone angle, I think he sees the flash of color. I actually think he's more reading Brissett, and he's moving to his left off of Brissett's kind of like rollout look. Mm-hmm. But either way, no matter how you slice it, you watch Dodson and watch Njoku leak out, and Dodson completely loses him. He's all on to Brissett. Milano picks up the running back. Jackson matches Cooper, and Njoku is literally wide ass
Holy
open.
Smokes, man.
And then he hops over Poyer. Tremendous athleticism. No. So let's watch it from the end zone angle, right? This is where I was really trying to pare it down, although we can't really see into his brain. He looks like he's watching Brissett the whole way. He sees the flash out of his peripherals, goes with it, and Njoku does a good enough job. He makes it look like he's blocking down on Oliver, but Dodson doesn't even recognize this piece whatsoever. He just gets completely lost in the flow of the play. Njoku crosses right in front of him, and he's just guarding grass at this point. Yeah. And then again, because he is a limited athlete, it's harder for him to get downfield and make this play. These are the type of looks, given the play action pieces we've seen from the Lions on the year, but especially last week and how they worked against an aggressive defense in the Giants. I expect to see more of these type of concepts, whether just straight up regular play action pieces or more leak concepts where you're moving the pocket right or left and then leaking that tight end across right or left and really trying to cause confusion and deception, because the Bills have shown some vulnerability to it. And especially when you've got a limited athleticism linebacker like Tyrell Dodson in there.
Why did Von Miller stop right there? When you look at it from the end zone I mean, obviously you'll just run it, but he I get why, but he had an opportunity just to keep flowing here
and just go up and attack it.
And he hesitates and he lets he starts playing with the offensive lineman. Just keep going and forcing Brissett to really think. I mean, that was a little, I don't know. That's not very Von Miller-like.
No, he kind of dances with Petonio a little bit. He could have, right off of the action here, just attack.
Yeah, I mean, it's going away from him. He knows it's not going his way. And even if it did, he could have ran right through the arms of Petonio and at least forced that split second longer for Brissett to make a decision. But maybe it's just you don't want to get beat to the outside. You're just trying to contain him. I don't know. That's an interesting one.
just bringing up more love for us in the chat while you continue to speak so eloquently. Yeah, that's a
Thanks,
fair
guys.
point.
Thanks.
But again, that's even a piece, right? Like, it's hard to know without knowing exactly what his responsibility was or what the call was, and kind of trying to diagnose it. But I think even if we want to like backtrack and point it to what it can mean for this game, this is just one little example of what can happen when you're moving the pocket and you're running these type of concepts. If you cause a little bit of hesitation or you cause a little bit of consternation for your opponent, all of a sudden somebody's open. If you cause them to hesitate just a little bit, all of a sudden there's an open man.
Yeah, this play just kind of got me excited for James Mitchell a little bit, because the Lions don't have a tight end that's really as athletic as probably Njoku, but it's, James Mitchell was somebody that probably, I'm not going to say is him, but maybe like light in a way, like kind of probably would have had some light comps to a player like that. And we would have talked about him a lot more in that draft cycle last year had he not had the torn ACL. He was a 7th round pick for Detroit, and he's, starting to kind of come around. So I'm curious if the Lions will key in on something like this, and if we'll see something like this to maybe, take advantage of a player like Dotson.
Very interesting. Also, this motion here from Schwartz. Watch this, like, come in here and then dipping back to the other side. The Lions do this with Amon-Ra St. Brown.
Yes.
They actually did something very similar to this in the low red zone against the Giants, and St. Brown took it down to like the 2 or 1 yard line, and then Jamal Williams banged it in the play after. So more possibility in terms of breaking things down. Now you're going to see a ton of markings here. We're not going to dive into every single play that we got clipped for the defense, but there's a lot to like for this Detroit Lions defense in terms of what they do, in terms of how they break things down. Russ, this is the first one that you wanted keyed up. This is Rodrigo, your boy, Malcolm Rodriguez, going 100 miles an hour, covering the running back, coming out of the backfield. Walk us through this play with, why you wanted this keyed up and what it means for tomorrow's game.
Yeah, I mean, you have Malcolm Rodriguez just completely locked in. You look at the personnel here from the Giants. You got Trips right, or for the defense's sake, Trips left. You got a tight end. You got a tight end on the line of scrimmage out there. So really, he's going to be somebody that goes to flats, out, seam, corner, maybe a slant or a dig route or something like that. And then you've got Saquon Barkley out of the backfield. So you're probably watching wheel route, check release, swing, something like that. Well, you have the corner on the outside with Jeff Okudah. You've got Deshaun Elliott kind of playing down in the box. He's going to start buzzing down into the box. And, he's essentially kind of that seam hook player. He's going to watch the seam. He's going to watch a hook. So pretty much the tight end or probably the wheel route. So for me, I'm trying to understand what the hell Malcolm Rodriguez is doing, because he just goes. And it bothers me because I'm fine with the guy keying in on a player and going and making the play. But we're talking about Josh Allen. It's a different animal. Look at that opening right there. And I know the defensive tackle swims on Lemieux or the center, whoever that is. But there's going to be an opening there in the middle for Josh Allen through that B gap, C gap to go up and run and take off, because the middle of that field is wide the F open. It is wide open because Malcolm Rodriguez is flying to that sideline. And ultimately, I mean, the pass still gets completed. It doesn't matter. But we've seen Josh Allen do a pump fake and take off, and that's going to happen here. And this worries me because the amount of man coverage that we see the Lions run, that's wide open. I mean, sure, John Kaminsky's there. He's not really rushing too much. And I get it. Rodriguez has got to get to his guy. But if that inside route is there and Okudah exchanges to the outside, and let's say that tight end breaks in, well, if Okudah's outside covering that flat curl to flats and Rodriguez is flying, now the middle's wide open. So it just, I don't know. I just don't know really the exchange here of what Detroit's trying to, what they're trying to do. I tried to breaking it down, and I'm like, and sure, I'm complaining about a 5-6 yard pass, but I can't help myself. I'm a perfectionist. I don't want yards, and I'm worried because we're playing against one of the best offenses in football.
That's a fair point. Man, it's still wild to hear somebody talk about the Bills and be like, yeah, one of the best offenses in football. And it's like, I'm sorry, what?
Yeah.
Yeah,
No, and
it looks like he man keys on him as soon as he releases. And that's it.
Yep.
And then I actually like it to a degree how he chokes down on it. And because it looks like Saquon wants to option this a little bit, but Rodriguez kind of cuts him off to the inside
Yep.
completely. So then Saquon is forced to take it to the flat. I also just get a little distracted for Alim McNeil, aka Alim Thick Neal.
Yes,
Just
sir.
I liked him coming out of NC State. I loved him in this game, just an absolute monster. Like he's the one who gets over the guard here, busts inside. Oh, look at that. That's a fluid, tight, compact swim move for a very large man.
Yeah.
And he bears right down on Daniel Jones. But I agree to your point, like Josh Allen is a good processor and a person who recognizes right away, like, oh, you're in man coverage, cool. I'm taking off. Now, maybe if Allen takes off here, Elliott comes up and then we get a bit of a stalemate. But this is a lot of space for a one-on-one tackle to make if you're the safety coming from depth against an athlete at the quarterback position like Josh Allen.
And
so I recognize your concern.
I think it's more of just like a technique thing for me with Rodriguez. It's completely square to the guy he's covering. He's completely square to the sideline. And that stuff worries me at times with the player like him, but other players, because I need you to keep your eyes on the backfield at times. You have, and it's a passing situation. If you're not reading the quarterback, how the hell you know where the ball's going? Like this guy's talking about how he wants 2 interceptions by the end of the year. You can't pick off a pass if you're not reading the quarterback. And I get it. You're playing one of the best running backs in football. Completely understand why maybe you're zeroing in. Like there's a lot of potential for him to be a great player, not taking anything away from him. But the coverage stuff is going to bother me a little bit because he is somebody that, played limited snaps this past weekend, still gave up 4 receptions on 5 targets. He's going to be somebody I think the Bills are going to key in on with Dawson Knox, Hines coming out of the backfield, Cook coming out of the backfield, whoever it is. So it wouldn't surprise me if we see Rodriguez making a lot of tackles 5-6 yards in the middle of the field because of coverage breakdowns, because he is just in there. That's it. There's no reads.
He plays with his hair on fire like at all times, in a good way, but also in a bad way at times, because he kind of can play with blinders on because he's just going like see ball, hit ball. Like I see like Danny the cop from The Replacements. With just like Danny, go get me the ball. I got you the ball. Like that's like
exactly. Yep.
Oh, this one again, nothing too crazy and in depth. This is just Alim McNeil being awesome.
Yes.
Oh, just what a quick swipe of the hands. But what gets me even more, this is a very large man. Watch him flatten and bend. Look at the lean.
Former baseball player, baby.
Look, and he doesn't fall down right on his face. He leans into Jones, then has the functional strength to get an arm on him, uses that arm as an anchor and brings him down.
Yep. And a lot of his rushes, he's starting outside and then he's working his way back inside. And he's doing that to obviously force a guy like, Shane Lemieux or just inexperienced offensive linemen, which the Giants had a couple in this game where guys didn't play a ton this year, or if at all. And you're getting them in a position where they are now, rather than just kind of coming back square, they're turning into that direction to where they think you're going, and they open up that hole inside. And that happened even on the previous play where we thought, if it was Josh Allen, he would take it and run. So
I'm just running it all back to
you're good.
He's so impactful. Like this game,
10 pressures in this game.
That's wild for a single game, and for a Bills grouping that
for a nose.
Yes, for a nose. Like for anybody in general, but especially an interior player, and against a Bills position grouping that at times has been a bit vulnerable on the interior, whether it's Roger Saffold in pass protection, whether it's Ryan Bates at times, or even Mitch Morse, who I absolutely love at center. There's times where he can get pushed back right into the quarterback's lap, and McNeil can do that. And we're going to show a play later where he uses power and leverage, but this is technique and athleticism and agility, like just a quick swipe of the hands. And then to bend and flatten, that's a plus trait. That's absolutely
100%.
phenomenal and fantastic. And the sideline view of this play, Russ, this is one that you had earmarked. So again, McNeil gets the pressure and Jones doesn't get the ball out, but the Giants run some crossers on this play. And in your notes, you had crossers equals death. Here I just put crossers equals not good for Detroit. What is it? Is it the man coverage piece that they use? Is it the single high piece that they couple with that? For those who don't know, which maybe you don't, the Lions 35% man coverage. That is the sixth most in the entire NFL. They also have a 34% blitz rate, which is sixth in the NFL. I believe I don't have in my notes. 51%, or I'm sorry, 54% one high shells pre-snap. That is the seventh most. They also couple that with 48% middle of the field closed coverages post-snap. So a single high team, a decent amount of man coverage, like roughly 3.5 man coverage snaps out of every 10. When you see these crossers and you see how they get beat, is it because of the talent they have? Is it the scheme that they're playing? Like, what makes them susceptible to, get beat by these type of routes and concepts?
I think it's just the talent. I mean, you've got a former safety and Will Harris converted into a nickel. He's been primarily their nickel guy. Jeff Okuda's been fine, but you've got a young safety in there in Kirby Joseph, who's doing very well. 3 interceptions on the year, leads the team, and he's doing very well. But you've got a guy like Deshaun Elliott kind of rotating down into the box at times, playing that buzz defender, as we saw in a previous play, that seam hook player. So I think you at times you're asking for certain guys to do things that maybe they have never been asked to do before in their career. They're not very good at it, or they're just a little bit inexperienced. You've got a guy like Okuda who hasn't played a ton of pro football. You have Kirby Joseph, first year in the league. Will Harris hasn't played a ton of nickel in his life. He was a safety coming out of Boston College. So you're getting a lot of different types of guys doing a lot of different types of things. And I think that's where the issues kind of come from. But also, as we look at these last couple of weeks, in total, the last 3 games, they're allowing a total of 19 points per game. Prior to some coaching changes, it was like just north of 28 points per game. So they're seeing improvements here, but they're playing Aaron Rodgers, who's playing hurt, is near the end of the road here. Justin Fields, who's still figuring things out. Daniel Jones, who actually his numbers at MetLife are actually really bad. And he's also somebody that, is hit or miss at times, but you're playing against a Josh Allen this week who he's going to anticipate throws like this a lot sooner. He's going to do a much better job, bad elbow and all, here on some crossing routes. And you can clearly see the crosser that's headed to the 40, the receiver headed that way. You can see the corner plenty of steps behind. Sure, Joseph's going to be over the top, but it doesn't matter. And Josh Allen is going to anticipate that throw much sooner. And he's going to hit this in stride. And if it's whoever the receiver is, it doesn't matter who it is, because anybody on this roster can run after the catch. He's going to hit it, and they're going to gain an additional 10 plus yards easy. And that worries me because the amount of man coverage that's there. Now, sure, that was a sack. That's great. But I'm just talking about this coverage overall piece. Play of what it could be, because again, you're looking at I think it was almost a 4-step drop for whatever reason. It didn't look like a traditional 3-step drop. Josh Allen doesn't even need to drop. He can take the ball, turn, and throw, and he knows that's going to be there. And that's what worries me about this game in stuff like this, because Josh Allen, potential MVP. I mean, let's just call it what it is. So, yeah, I mean, great play overall for the Lions defense. They get the sack. It's all great there. I'm not dogging the defense for making the sack, but Josh Allen's going to stand in there, take the shot, make this throw, and it's going to hit. It's just I see it in my mind.
I think that's completely fair. I want to pull up this comment from Sarah. Well, I actually want to pull up this one first. Sarah says, Hutchinson is dangerous because he can leap in the air and grab balls you wouldn't think he'd be able to reach. We're actually going to show one of those in a little bit here. But she also has this other comment that says, I doubt they'd play that much man this game, though, right? With Okuda out, that may not work out too well. Even if Okuda was in there, I thought playing that much man would be risky against Stephon Diggs and Gabriel Davis and the complement of weapons that they have. But again, it's been tied to their nature and their scheme for the majority of the year. Again, like it's no accident or coincidence that they run the 6th most man from a percentage standpoint. Again, it's only 35%, so they're still running more non-man coverage than they are man coverage, but still a piece of who they are. But I like your point here, Russ. Again, yeah, like McNeil gets the sack, but Okuda, who's their best corner, gets caught in the trash. His man is wide open. And even if you don't want to look there, Wandale Robinson just has space. Like that's easy. And that's also a piece too, right? Like the reason so many Bills fans thought Isaiah McKenzie was the prince that was promised was because of the performance that he had against the New England Patriots. And what did the New England Patriots do in New England last year? Single high and man coverage. And even when they weren't going man coverage, they were still going single high. So majority of the time, you either had cover 1 or you had cover 3. Either way, deep overs are going to kill you and gouge you when you're in single high, more so in man than just in cover 3.
Yep.
But Wandale Robinson gets the step off the bat, and he's golden. Like, he's good to go. Gets a free release, two-way, go, bang. Not even the cleanest of routes. Just uses speed and all that green grass, and he gets a step. And then you got the crosser coming on the other side, the little mesh, loses Okuda. There's options there, to your point, and I like that point, right? Because it's when you're too results focused, you lose sight of the process, but the process is what speaks to sustainability, positively or negatively. So on this play, it's a sack, and you're like, awesome play. But sacks aren't always going to happen. And if McNeil gets blocked up for another half a second, Daniel Jones has the opportunity to hit a big chunk play down the field, or even a little easy completion underneath for a catch and run because he's got space. And your point, Josh Allen is very good pre-snap and diagnosing and determining where he wants to go or reading it out once the play happens. So that's a dangerous game.
Yeah, no, and that's how I viewed this from, watching the Lions defense is like, okay, how can Josh Allen and the Bills offense beat me or beat us? And that's how I was viewing it. And just comparing the two quarterbacks, like Daniel Jones is similar to like Jared Goff in a way. He's going to operate in structure. He's going to do whatever he can do to make sure that he's not turning the football over. And he turned it over twice in this game, which was the first time that's happened in weeks. Yeah. But Josh Allen's going to extend beyond the pocket here. He's going to tuck it in and run. He's going to throw from weird arm angles. He's got the arm strength. Like, again, elbow's going to limit things, but he's still a very good quarterback, and he's going to make things happen. And I just, looking at that play, really was like, well, if that's Allen, that's possibly 6.
If that's Allen, that's a problem. Nothing crazy from a schematic perspective on this one. I just like the way Detroit flows to the football, the way they fit the runs. Our boy, Alim Thickneal, crushing it again on this play, sheds his man, tackle for loss. An absolute monstrous performance from Alim McNeil in this game, again, against the run, against the pass, everything. But you just see the tenacity up front, the way they attack, the way they fit gaps. You see the shift. So it's like, okay, we're moving left. Giants go back to the other side, a little split zone action. But McNeil just gobbles it up. Kaminsky sets the edge, and this is the piece too, right? Everybody fits the run. Look how willing the corner is to come up and cut off this outside. He quick triggers. He comes up with purpose. He turns this run back inside where McNeil is waiting. Like, where are you going?
One thing I will say is I do think some of those guys in the middle there, like Isaiah Buggs and stuff, didn't do a very good job of sustaining his gap, fighting pressure with pressure. So there is a cutback lane there. So if Singletary or Cook, somebody a little bit, not quicker, but if somebody sees that and makes that cut,
here's Bugs.
It might be there. But yeah, I mean, McNeil did a great job. Rodriguez isn't really in this play, but Anzalone isn't really either. But again, you're right. They did a really good job, and McNeil did what he had to do. And let's just be honest. It's like, everything comes back to gambling, right? It only takes one. So all you need is one defensive player to make the play, and everybody else will follow. And that's what they did here. And that's what it's about. So I'm hoping, they can kind of improve some of this from an overall technique standpoint, because look at Bugs. He's the guy's three yards off the ball right now. But
that's your point, though, right? Like, here is the alley. It exists because the backside got taken out, but the front side does enough work overall, and then highlighted by, again, like you said, sometimes all it takes is one, right? Like, if you got one-on-one action up front, and if you're out-gapped, you can still win as a defense if somebody just goes and makes a play, and that's what you get on this play. Like, this gap is here. Saquon reads it. He cuts, and Alim McNeil's like, nah.
Yeah. No, 100%. 100%. And
they're going to have their hands full with him, whether it's Roger Saffold, especially with how McNeil is lined up more towards, if we're looking from the defensive side, more from the right side of the defensive line, meaning the left side from the offense, which means he'd get more Roger Saffold. Saffold's big, he's physical, he's strong, but so is McNeil, and McNeil has more quickness and athleticism. That could be a real plus matchup potentially for the Lions. I look to see what they do there is because they play so violent up front. You got McNeil. This is a piece for you, Russ, that you like, the little pre-snap motion, and then your pre-snap shift, and you get the jet motion and a handoff, and the Giants get to the perimeter on this Lions defense.
Yeah, they pre-snap Matt Breida into more of a condensed look, jet sweep. Look at Malcolm Rodriguez, just
Your boy.
It's enough to get the first down. Nothing against Matt Breida, but I think there's a little bit faster, a little bit more skilled guys on the Bills offense that are going to be able to turn this upfield a lot quicker, a lot faster. And if Rodriguez is playing out of position, which, he does fine, looks like he slips, hesitates a little bit. For a guy that plays so zeroed in, 100 miles an hour, hair on fire, there's these little slip-ups, and he's a rookie, right? He's a 6th-round pick. Things are going to happen at times. So, he's more than what I thought he was going to be coming out so far, but there's going to be times where he gets exposed, and this could be one of those weeks because there's no way that Ken Dorsey and McDermott and this coaching staff, they're not looking at it. And it's sure a short gain. It wasn't really much. They didn't need much to get the first down, but I think about potential of what is next. And there's a lot of good out there on the outside, forcing the runner back in. But what if, and hear me out, what if they don't? Okuda's not going to be out there now. So who's the next guy? Is that guy going to be doing it? Is it Amani O? He hasn't had a great year. He's fallen from the heavens. He was on fire last year. Terrible year this year. So is he going to be the guy out there, and is he going to do his job properly? I don't know, but things like this scare me because there's just that small little flaw where it's good enough to get a yard, and then there's enough to, everybody to rally around and stop it. And it's enough like bend, don't break type stuff, but you can't, I think you're kind of playing with fire this week, especially on a short week, but I could be wrong. I could be talking, maybe the other guy's right. Maybe I have no idea what I'm talking about, but
the rhetoric or whatever word he used there.
Whatever he was saying.
Yeah, maybe he meant to say redirect. I don't know. Another run fit piece. We get a little pin pull action here from this one's a good one from Rodrigo. What's also a nice piece too, you watch Okuda scrape here over the top, and this is where the relentlessness and the hair on fire piece comes from Rodriguez. He draws a flag on this play, but it looks like the Giants have the you look like the Giants have the edge, right? Because you watch Hutch close down. Oh, nice thud.
Going to wrong arm that. It's perfect. He's going to wrong arm. If anything's cutting back in, and he's going into wrong arm with his right arm. So if that is coming back inside, he's in position and he's trusting that his guys on the outside are there. And I almost tweeted this play out last night, and I was like, no, people are not going to get what I'm talking about, so I'm just not going to do it.
You know what's funny is I almost wasn't going to share because people were going to be like, they got owned. That was a wrong play. But so Hutch wrong arms him, forces it. And then again, Okuda, who's out now, playing McNeil, making the play inside. And here's Rodrigo getting held like crazy because he actually gets over and is able to make the play. And watch Rodrigo here, number 44, literally just is not allowed to turn around because he's being held. And that draws the flag. But even with the flag, right? Even with that piece, we'll show it from the sideline angle here. Even with that piece, you still get it's still held to a pretty decent gain for the opportunity to have the edge. Well, watch it here again. There's your boy Hutch coming down, wrong arms this thing, nice stud. This is a corner going up against John Feliciano, former Bill, who loves to talk trash about the team in the city now. This is matchup in theory for the offense, no matter what. You got a big on a small, and now you can't cut offensive linemen, so they almost don't want you to play defense even more than they already don't want you to play defense. But Okuda plays this legit, scrapes over the top like he's playing it for real, gets underneath to the point where he tries to make a tackle, but also undercuts Feliciano, so he takes out the blocker, and then Rodriguez is getting held like crazy, and it draws a flag, but Okuda makes that tackle. That's super impressive that he's got a freight train coming at him in John Feliciano. And this is Okuda right here. He makes this play out there in space. This helps save this run. Granted, Rodriguez draws the flag, but Okuda's not out there. So whoever's that replacement player, is he going to step up and play that run the same way? Is he going to have the athleticism and physicality to do that? Because that's not an easy play. And I wonder how that starts to impact this game. Again, just another one from Alim McNeil. Just want to show everybody that he can also anchor at the point of attack. Just gums up the works on this run. Like, just gets double teamed and it's just like, nah, cool. I'm just going to stay right here with leverage and power. Yeah. They just can't move him. Like, it takes 3 guys to move him, and the pile getting moved later, and then the run continues because Barkley wasn't down. But McNeil just being an absolute stud. Here's the play that I mentioned earlier from Sarah. Nice simulated pressure from the Detroit Lions. Hutch is going to fake the rush, and then he's going to drop out. Simulated pressures are fantastic. So for those who don't know, you are rushing 4, but a non-traditional rusher is coming. So it's either a linebacker or literally anybody but a defensive lineman, and then you're dropping a defensive lineman out into coverage. Actually, though, with this, because they're not showing any pressure, for me, I classify simulated pressure as you're showing like somebody else at the line,
sugar
like 5
in the
guys.
Gap, something
correct,
like that.
Something. When you're bringing it when you're bringing in, you're not showing it. I call that a creeper. That's how I classify the two. So this would be more of a creeper pressure, but you'll watch a 4th rusher come from the 2nd level. You'll watch Hutch drop out. Actually, you get more than just 1 rusher. You get an actual blitz. And look at Hutch drop right into the lane. Boom. Daniel Jones doesn't see him.
I can't believe he threw that. Like, how do you not see a 6'6", 270-pound defensive?
If you look at from I genuinely think because he's so, and I watched from the end zone angle, he's literally just lasered in here. And he's not even seeing it. I think he thought Hutch came on the blitz and he sees the man flash, and that's it. Like, I don't even think he creeps in his window because he throws it right to him.
Right. Or maybe he underestimated how big the dude is. Because, I mean, Hutch had to kind of lift up a little bit to get that. So maybe, but I'm happy to see him dropping into coverage. Now, again, I tweeted this one out last night. Like, I would be letting him pin his ears back as much as possible, but he is certainly somebody that, if you can do this, 4 or 5 times a game, go for it. And if it works out, which it does, this is his 2nd pick of the year.
I was going to say he picked off Rodgers in the red zone, in the low red zone. Also, to correct myself, this is not a simulated pressure. This is just a blitz and a dropout. So I take back my initial statement. Just wanted to clarify that, just in case someone will come through and be like, "Oh, actually, this wasn't a simulated pressure." And I'm like, "Okay, great."
Rhetoric.
But just, again, nice piece. Fake the rush too. What I also like too is, again, the initial steps that he takes basically freezes up that offensive lineman to the point that now he's blocking no one. So he just almost occupied an offensive lineman and took him up for no reason. Well, not took him up for no reason, but by design. So now he's like, all right, cool, let me go help here. And then he just drops right into the throwing window. Boom, gets it done. Good play from Mr. Aiden Hutchinson. This one is probably my favorite play from the entire game. Alim McNeil circled here. Aiden Hutchinson circled here. You're going to watch McNeil absolutely just speed to power. Actually, not even speed to power, just power and leverage. Watch him get underneath his man, extend, and drive. That's what I want everyone to focus on first. Actually, we'll go real time here. Bullies his man and gets into Daniel Jones. Watch it one more time in real time. Absolutely bullies his man right into Daniel Jones's lap. Now, let's watch Mr. Aiden Hutchinson on the right edge. Watch the technique. He goes with the hand swipe, doesn't get it fully. Look at the wrist control. He literally lifts another grown man's arm off and just goes, no, it just whips through.
Yeah. Dude, those are and if once he flattens that out a little bit more and he can really flatline that to the QB, he's going to be an absolute terror. And this is the stuff that he did consistently off Michigan. I feel like I'm watching like a Northwestern game right now. Like, honestly, like that's what you saw consistently out of him in college. And the power from McNeil, it's beautiful.
It's the end zone angle tells it. The sideline one even. Oh, you can just see McNeil completely collapse the depth of the pocket and then also drive Daniel Jones back and push him into the dirt. Collapse the depth, also affect the width. That's a good tandem up front. Like, just
it's nice to finally have that somewhat again. Like we had that almost like 10 years ago, maybe even like 8 years ago, like with Ndamukong Suh and Ziggy Ansah and stuff like that.
Mm,
But it's gone away for so long, and now it's starting to come back a little bit. Like you watch this stuff last year, there was nobody on that defense. I mean, there was nothing to really look forward to. McNeil was a rookie. Other guys were rookies. They're starting to come into their own. Hutch is still a rookie, but really starting to come into his own and showing why he potentially was the best player in the draft last year. So it's promising to see. This is great stuff from when you're looking up in the box of a defensive line and really on a defense.
yeah, a second-year player in McNeil, a rookie in Hutch, just literally lifts the wrist while McNeil gets through. Oh, absolutely beautiful, absolutely sound. Last play we got here for the Lions defense. This is one you had tabbed and marked here, Russ. This is that clear out piece that can potentially make this Lions defense vulnerable. Again, we get another single high look pre-snap. We also get single high coverage post-snap. Then we get a clear out from number 1. And then we get Wan'Dale Robinson, the number 2 on this play, running that intermediate route. And then the underneath defender is held by the tight end. Walk us through this play. Again, what pinged this for you in terms of what could worry you from the Lions' perspective tomorrow?
Yeah, so initially I thought this was Pony. I thought there was 2 running backs back there. Then I realized that guy's too big and it's more of an H-back. And so I would classify this as, trips left from the defense perspective or trips right if it were me, just to simplify it down. But, essentially your H-back there to the right of Daniel Jones, he is going to just check release. Your slot receiver is going to run a corner route, and your wide receiver out wide is just going to clear out everybody else. So he's just going to run vertical. He's going to bring that safety over the top. And the reason why this one worries me is because you have probably your nickel. I think that's Will Harris down there, over the slot receiver. He's going to kind of be put into an island, and it scares me because the linebacker that's there isn't going to get to that, check release fast enough. He's not going to play anything as a mid-hook defender. There's nothing going his way. So Will Harris is kind of put on that island. And if the safety and the corner roll with that clearing route, that corner route is going to be there all day long. And I can see it now. Gabe Davis clearing everybody out, Stephon Diggs corner route, Stephon Diggs corner route, Stephon Diggs crossing route. And it's just one of those things where you see the guy having to make the decision here. And again, I think that's Will Harris. I should have wrote down who it was, but he has to make the decision. There's nobody else anywhere around. You can't have guys on an island when you're running, even if it's cover 3, if it's man-to-man, you can't have certain guys in islands because, as we talked about, 20, 30 minutes ago, these players are playing, some of them are playing out of position in the secondary. They're not traditional nickels. They're not traditional safeties. They're playing different roles, and you're asking them to do a lot. And when you do that, these are the things that are going to happen. And sure, they don't, like, what am I complaining about? Like, the Giants scored 12 points, 6 points, whatever it was. So it's one of those things where I shouldn't be complaining about it, but these are the things, because we're playing such a good offense, that worries me. And that's, when I saw this, I was like, well, that's going to be first down all day long. Sure, Daniel Jones flushed out of the pocket. Beautiful. Great pressure. But the coverage piece, you can't have letdowns when you're starting to generate pressure. They're allowing you to get to your landmarks. They're allowing you to get to your drops, whether it is cover 3, whether it is quarters, whether it is man, whatever you're in, they're allowing you to get to where you need to be.
That's a fair point. And again, I have a Bills clip coming that's going to tie into an opportunity like this. But that's the point. Like, if you're letting them get to their landmarks, you're letting them get to their spots. Like, when you do that against the better teams, eventually it will catch up to you, and it'll be like, well, yeah, that happened, but we were able to balance it out because we did X, Y, and Z. You're not always going to be able to do X, Y, and Z to balance it out against the better football teams. Again, wasn't a huge call out, but who's getting a pressure again on this play? Shock. Olin McNeil fighting through and just causing havoc again. This is actually a really good throw from Daniel Jones.
Yes.
Good throw. Layers it right over the top. But exactly to your point, like, this is, you will see this from the Bills. This will be Gabriel Davis, and this is Stephon Diggs. You will see this piece. Diggs' slot numbers are above 35%, closer to 40 this year, a huge drastic change from what it was last year. Like, basically what you've got here is a a late action into a sail concept here. You've got the deep option, you've got the intermediate, and then you've got the underneath. And exactly your point. Yeah, you put this guy, whoever he is, like it could be the nickel corner, it could be the other apex defender, it could be the safety who is in sky
Elliott.
coverage. Could be, literally could be anybody. But the
I
point
think
is,
it's
like
Deshaun Elliott. If I remember correctly, it's Deshaun Elliott. Deshaun Elliott's right where. Yeah, that's Deshaun. It is Will Harris. It's Will Harris. It's Will Harris. It's Will Harris.
And he's wrong almost no matter what. But he sees Daniel Jones rolling out, and I think he steps and thinks like he can't make that throw over the top of my head. Josh Allen, will make that. So maybe against the Bills, he's like, you know what, Allen can make it. Let me drop back this way. And maybe Allen's forced to hit this. But either way, granted, if he hits the underneath, it's a shorter game, but it's probably still a first down. You're still getting put into conflict with the opportunity to be made to be vulnerable. And this way you can see.
Did the Lions have 3 linebackers on that one? No,
it's just Anzalone and Rodrigo.
Yeah.
I wonder how many people don't know about Malcolm Rodriguez and are going to think his name is actually Rodrigo and not Rodriguez because we keep calling him Rodrigo. I wonder.
It's probably going to happen. I mean, the dude wears a cowboy hat. He dresses like a cowboy.
He's an Oklahoma State guy. Wanted to tie that in with some Buffalo Bills pieces to kind of wrap this up. This is the very first play of the game. The Josh Allen elbow piece, it continues to get talked about, whether it's affecting him mentally or just physically, yada, yada. But what I wonder what we see to start this game against the Lions is I wonder if it starts similar to how the game against the Browns started. This is the very, very, very first play of the game. Okay. Josh Allen has Stephon Diggs on this dig route. There is nobody here in the middle of the field. He sees it, comes off it, checks it down to Devin Singletary. Played it safe. We've seen these stretches in Josh Allen's career when he's had turnovers a lot or he's been making, poorer decisions where the next couple of games he'll overcompensate. We saw it in 2019 when he had that stretch of turnovers. So what he started doing is on his deep shots, he would aim farther out so that either his man was catching it or no one was catching it. He would try to be so safe and so fine by launching it deeper that it just created a whole bunch of incompletions. He was out throwing his receiver by like 7, 8, 9, 10 yards because he was trying to play so safe. This game, it seemed like he was playing safer just from a decision-making standpoint early. So again, this is the very first play of the game. That's the sideline angle. Here's the end zone angle. You can see it. Stephon Diggs is coming. He's in Josh Allen's field of vision. There is no one there. And Allen, again, not a horrible decision. Positive gain on first down, get into a rhythm. He checks it down. Right? Let's go to a play later in the game. This one's similar. Albeit from a different way of going about it. So we just showed that last Lions play, right? That corner route that comes with a clearing route. This time it's a little different, but it's still a corner route from Stephon Diggs. But watch what happens here. Stephon Diggs up top, open. Like this is what you want. Like he gets behind Emerson, who gets caught a little bit in no man's land.
He throws at 99.9% of the time.
Yes. Watch him on this play. He literally pumps. And this isn't, at first I thought it was a pump fake, like he was pumping it to then go underneath. I don't think he is. I think he literally goes to throw this and is like, nah. And then goes to Dawson Knox underneath. And when you watch it from the end zone angle, he's got his eyes on Diggs the whole way. Like his eyes are locked onto that corner route down the field. And then he comes off it as he loads up, he's ready. And then he's like, nah. And he double clutches and ducks it down.
I wonder if the Lions are going to readjust. I mean, I know I have a lot of things that I'm worrying about, and we've talked about it tonight, but I do wonder if the Lions are going to readjust. Obviously, they're going to watch this tape, and they're going to say, hey, he hesitated here. Hey, he hesitated there. He pump faked. And are they going to not play Kirby Joseph back so far? Are they going to allow guys to play curl the flats, seam hook, stuff like that, where they're a little bit more underneath, and they're going to force Josh Allen to make that deep shot. And if he makes it, cool. He burnt us. That's on us. We can readjust. But let's see if he can even make these throws. I do wonder if that's going to be something that the Lions do. And it wouldn't surprise me if they do. I mean, what are they going to hurt? They're a 4-6 football team. They have everything to play for. Like nothing to lose. Their defense is trash anyways. So why does it matter? You might as well take the gamble. Like if it were me, I'd be like, nope, you guys are playing at 10 yards. Don't worry about anything deeper than that. He's not making that throw. And if he makes it, cool.
It's a fair point. And this is how we started out that game. Like, I wonder, do the Lions try to test him and see what he's going to do early? Because this was early Josh Allen in this game. But as we start to move forward into this game, so this is the end of the second quarter. This is the 2-minute drill where he started to change things a little bit. One, I want to highlight Gabriel Davis down here. Stud against Martin Emerson, rookie corner out of Mississippi State. Emerson goes with the two-hand jam, tries to get in his face right off the line. You're going to watch Davis fight through the jam and then watch the rocker step right here at the top of the route. Bang. Oh, I'm just going to go through slow-mo there. Real pretty rocker step. Watch him hit the left, then hit the right, the body lean. Look at the separation he creates from Emerson, right? Really beautiful route. But I wanted to bring this up. This is where we started to see more of the old Josh Allen as this game went along. This time he goes for the shot and he drops it right into the bucket. Beautiful throw, beautiful route. Almost a full quarter later from the 2 plays that we showed to start this highlight here. As the game went along against the Cleveland Browns, we saw Josh start to rip it a little bit more, make these throws, go downfield, press the intermediate, take some shots. And so now I wonder, is he back into, okay, I'm comfortable, I reined it in for a game, got myself under control, feel good, feel confident, feel comfortable. Let's go out there and make some throws and make some plays. Or do we start to see at the start of this game against the Lions what we saw at the start of the Browns game, which was, because what we could have seen is actually it would have even still been a pretty good gain on this one. Earlier in the game, I feel like he would have taken this, or I feel like he would have taken this based on how he was operating earlier in the game. Because those 2 plays I showed to start off here, that happened multiple times throughout the first quarter and for the majority of the second, really up until this 2-minute drill here. And he started to let it rip a little bit. So I wonder, again, what are the first, scripted plays the Bills have? What is he trying to do? Is Dorsey trying to rein him in? What type of game plan are they on? Again, especially against a team like the Detroit Lions, who, like we've talked about, and it's not us just blowing smoke and running our mouths for anything. They're physical. They're aggressive. They've taken on the identity offensively and defensively from Mr. Dan Campbell, biting kneecaps and pounding extra large coffees every 5 minutes. Do they come up and say, you know what?
Right now,
I know, right? I can feel it too. I'm exhausted. Do they start that game and say, you know what? We are 4-6. We're at home on Thanksgiving. Let's just come out and punch the Bills in the mouth and see what's good. And that punching in the mouth could be literally rocking somebody in the face, or it could be, you know what? Let's press at the line. Let's jam. Let's get handsy. Let's make Allen have to make aggressive throws downfield. Let's see what's up. Let's hit him in the mouth physically and also mentally, because he showed a little bit of trepidation starting that game against the Browns, which again, we've seen from him in the past. I don't think this means, oh, the gunslinger's gone and he's starting to wind it down. No, he reins himself back in purposefully and consciously in order to kind of course correct a little bit. And as the game went on against the Browns, we saw that dissipate a little bit. But again, to your point, like, if the Lions get out to a lead, it helps their game script and their game plan for how they like to operate. So this, for the first couple of drives for both teams, could really legitimately go a long way in terms of determining how the rest of the game plays out and the type of game script that it sets up going forward. Whew. We covered a lot. It's Chris here saying, whoa, you guys are still going. Respect. Chris, I don't know if you know, Disguise coverage is usually, the shortest one will be like an hour, 15, hour, 20. It's usually like an hour and 30 to 45-minute show. But we had some mic issues in the beginning. Russ was sounding like this weird Darth Vader cyborg type of piece. It was a very interesting aspect. Probably pretty entertaining. Not for us because we were stressed and trying to work it out. But
I was very stressed. I was like, man, I'm already holding them up, falling apart over here.
No, you're good. You crushed it as always. I appreciate you stopping by and taking the time, especially with Thanksgiving stuff. And you had some radio spots today and a bunch of regular real life things. You were awesome as always. Before I send you on your way, just in case people do not know, tell them who you are, what you do, where they can find you, draft content, Lions content, radio spots you do, Senior Bowl stuff. You're sitting down talking with Jim Nagy today. Like, you have an impressive resume and you're awesome. Let all the good people know about what you do.
Thanks, man. I appreciate that. You are also awesome. And it was a lot of fun. I'm always enjoying my time on the show, whether it's just random Bills stuff or draft stuff, or certainly this matchup that I'm really excited about. I will not be down at the game. So if anybody's coming down, I won't be down there. But if people are going to be visiting through Detroit, I would highly suggest taking an Uber, or if you drove here through Canada or however you go about it, go through Corktown. It's really starting to get fixed up. Went through there actually on Saturday morning this past week. It was awesome. I used to work downtown, and I remember when it was nothing, and they're starting to really build it up. It's a good time in Detroit. So if you're here for the parade, you're here for some turkey, you're here with family, and obviously the football game, enjoy. So thanks for having me. A lot of fun. You can find me though on Twitter at Russ NFL Draft. Smash that follow button. A lot of draft content coming here. Senior Bowl invites are going out. Shrine Bowl invites are going out. So a lot of guys to start talking about in that regard. Some NFL stuff will get tossed into the middle of the week. And then, of course, every Sunday night, you can find us here on YouTube for the Cover One Football Weekly show that myself, Anthony, and Kendall do. But other than that, man, I appreciate it. We are the Steiner brothers. We were reunited we were united today. It was a lot of fun, and I'm looking forward to Sunday's show.
Yes.
So I wish everybody a happy Thanksgiving. Enjoy the game and eat plenty of turkey.
Oh yeah, and you as well. Enjoy doing the rest of your Thanksgiving prep and turkey brining that you have to do tonight. And
it's done, baby. It's ready to go. It's time to work out, take a shower, and maybe have a beer before bed.
You do that. Wind down. Enjoy your night. I will talk to you later. And have a happy Thanksgiving and happy holiday, my man.
Thanks, man. You too.
Godspeed, homie. Mr. Russell Brown, tremendous guest, as always, as we knew he would be. Speaking of tremendous, I like to bring it up at different times. The best pizza in Buffalo, hands down. Thanksgiving is this week, right? It's tomorrow. You're going to get turkey, stuffing, mashed potatoes, all that stuff. But you're probably going to run out of leftovers by Saturday, definitely by Sunday. So go out and treat yourself to a fantastic food-known holiday by ending that food holiday with some of the best pizza in Buffalo if you live in the Buffalo area. One Pie Pizza, the online menu can be found in the episode show notes here on YouTube or anywhere on the podcasting apps or platforms. Delicious sweet sauce pie, cup of char pepperoni. We have the Cover One disguise coverage Allen goat pizza, bacon, red onion, goat cheese, chicken. Absolutely amazing pie. I had it last week. It's one of the best things I've ever tasted. They got traditional pies, specialty pies, homemade blue cheese. They are the best in the business. They're also running their Toys for Tots promotion now. So go in, drop off some toys for tots and for those who are less fortunate and a bit disadvantaged. Do some good for the community. They're always doing different drives and initiatives. Also, when you donate a toy, you get a ticket placed into a raffle for some really cool Bills merch and Sabres merch and prizes and gifts and a whole bunch of stuff. So if you're in it for yourself, there's some light at the end of the tunnel, but go and treat yourself and the family to the best pizza in Buffalo and also do some good for the community while you're at it by dropping off a toy. Go get some One Pie Pizza. Again, online menu can be found in the episode show notes here on YouTube or any one of the podcasting apps platforms. Oh, this is awesome. Thank you so much, Robert. Robert says happy Thanksgiving, and he says thanks for the content, and he gave me a super chat and a donation. That's awesome, Robert. I appreciate you also saying some kind words about me earlier, having my back, being here. And then the super chat. Thank you very much. That sincerely means a lot. Thank you very much. And Chris says it. What's that new specialty pizza they made? It sounds awesome. Yes, it's named after the show, which is awesome. I've never had someone make a food after anything I've been a part of. So I'm tremendously proud of that. Yes, it is the Allen goat cheese, chicken, red onion, bacon, sauce. And then even with the homemade blue cheese, it's even better. Legitimately, it's awesome. I'm not just saying that because it's named after the show, and it's on the menu. Again, go check on that online menu in the episode show notes. Do yourself a favor and get into some One Pie Pizza ASAP. Also, getting into some stuff ASAP. The betting world is a huge piece. Sports gambling, whether it's football, baseball, hockey, anything and everything, it has taken the world by storm. And with the popularity of it, we've dove into that world big. You know, the underdog fantasy partnership that we've had throughout the offseason and kicking into football season every year. But now in season, we've got this Bet US partnership that we're extremely proud of because it allows us the opportunity to pay it forward and give back to our subscribers and content community and fans. And with that being said, here's the promo for it to give you some information on what you can do with Bet US, courtesy of Cover One.
Hey guys, Cover One is excited to announce our new partnership with BetUS. BetUS has a live wagering on all major games, the best betting variety in the business, and an easy deposit and withdrawal process with the fastest payouts in the industry. Our loyal Cover One fans get a choice between two exclusive offers, either a 125% sign-up bonus on your first deposit up to $2,500 or a free $50 bet with no deposit required. Just use promo code COVER1 on the links provided in the show description below. BetUS. where the game begins.
Boom, Mr. Greg Tomset talking about BetUS. So go and get that action if you want to gamble your fortunes away or make some fortunes. Who knows? Also, I wanted to drive home on that one pie pizza. The Disguise covers the Allen Goat homemade pizza dough topped with red sauce, goat cheese, chicken fingers, mozzarella cheese, red onion, and bacon. Go get yourself some one pie pizza after the Thanksgiving holidays and festivities wind down. That being said, had a long episode, a lot to get into in this episode. Mr. Russell Brown, we worked out some technical difficulties to start the show. We got into some film, broke down a lot of great pieces going into this game, and honestly, pieces to go forward when it comes down to the Bills and Lions. So I want to thank everyone who rode with us live on this episode of Disguise Coverage. I appreciate all the kind words for the people who had our backs when we had that one detractor earlier in the episode. So thank you very much, everybody who rose up for myself and Russ and for the show. Thank you to everyone for tuning in live. It's awesome to always see the live viewers, especially the night before a holiday. Like, I know everybody's busy. The 7 o'clock time slot isn't the most ideal on a regular week, let alone a holiday week. So thank you very much to everyone who tuned in and rode with us live here on this episode. While you're still here, please drop a like on this video. It goes a very long way towards helping us and the entire channel to track and trend in front of more eyes and ears as we continue to try and push this brand to new heights, bigger and better things in front of more eyes and ears. So please, 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 and thank you. Whether you're watching live or watching later, please drop a like on this video here on YouTube. If you are listening later on one of the podcasting apps or platforms, thank you very much for your listen and or your download. Please rate and review and subscribe to Disguise Coverage on Spotify or Apple. Give a star rating and a review. Positive feedback or negative is also appreciated as well. Any kind of feedback to help myself and the channel and the show to get better and grow and progress and all that kind of stuff. Subscribe to Disguise Coverage here on YouTube as well. Tell your family, friends, and loved ones about the show, how awesome it is. Or if you thought the show was terrible, tell your enemies and try and ruin their day. Regardless, I appreciate you folks more than you will ever possibly know. Chris asks, what do the people of Middle Earth eat on Thanksgiving? I think just regular Thanksgiving stuff. I think Middle Earth operates the same way. I mean, because we're Middle Earth. So I would say turkey legs, then some potatoes. I would say less mashed potatoes, more real potatoes, more farm-based foods is what I would say. That's a good question. Chris knows. Chris is a smart guy. I hope you and your family and friends and loved ones are all doing well, staying safe. Take care of one another. Be kind to one another. Have an absolutely tremendous Thanksgiving Day, Thanksgiving weekend. If you're going out to venture into the wild, wild west that is Black Friday shopping out in the real world, be safe. Stock up on protective gear and goggles and weaponry, potentially, maybe, hopefully not. Good luck to you and yours if you're venturing out on Black Friday. Again, have a tremendous Thanksgiving. Have a tremendous weekend. Stay safe. Be kind to one another. Take care of one another. I will see you folks next week. Godspeed. Thank you very much. And as always, go Bills.